Hello, Internet. I'm back. It's been about 4 years I've been on a hiatus. But several of you approached me or messaged me or talked to me in some way and said you really enjoyed the content I've been putting out there, and I appreciate that. Um, I'm going to try doing something different. I actually promised several people before the national championship that I was going to go ahead and do a 31-part YouTube series on how my games went and what I was thinking when I played through them. And as it turns out, I had a phenomenal nationals, at least for a while, with 5 games to go. No spoiler alert, but with 5 games to go, I was actually in fourth place. I certainly didn't deserve it. I drew some very good stuff at some very good times. I ended up choking away the entire thing, which is why the title of all of these videos is I Can't, or I Choked Away a National Title. So I Can't episode 1 is this one, and there should be 30 more of them to follow. And you can watch somebody draw well enough to win a national championship and then be stupid enough to lose and to end up 17 and 14 and to not even bring home any money. So, without further ado, let's play through game 1. The way they pair the nationals is you get paired in quadrants, so they take someone from the top quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter, and they pair you for the first 3 rounds. I was seeded 18th, which put me just barely in the second quadrant, and I'm playing against Jeff Fiszbein, who happened to be in the third quadrant. This is going to be probably one of the lower seeds I was expecting to play at the Nationals, and I've got him round 1. Jeff, by the way, is a really nice guy, and it's fun to play against. So, I'm super excited. Brand new Nationals, my chance to maybe cash. I know I'm going to make a YouTube series out of these, and my opening rack is HNNNRUU. And that's not a very good rack. So, I mean, there's a few candidate plays that pop up. You can play Hun for 12, holding NNRU, which is not really endearing. You can play None for 6, holding HNRU, which is just still not a fantastic leave. Or you can just exchange and throw some of it back. You can throw back and keep NR, that'd be the pretty standard move. Or if you want to try and be cute, maybe you hold HR instead. And you can see Quackle right there likes keeping HR just without any simulation or anything, just ever so slightly to NR. So with the little simulation in there, I hope you guys can see those details right there. Quackle is this fantastic capability where it can show you how much it expects your opponent to play, or to score for on their next play, and then how much you expect to score on your counter play to their play. But you can see just playing any tiles give your opponent more points typically. None is a rare exception to that rule, but typically if you give your opponents tiles, then some racks that don't bingo have bingos, you give them opportunities to play 8s. And you can see after Hun, my opponent's going to score 5 more points than if I do nothing. There's some old logic. People in the 90s who played a lot in the 90s will still use the phrase take away the star, where you just play something small on the first turn so your opponent doesn't get a free double word. Generally, that's not correct because you don't want to give them any floaters. Again, None is a rare exception to that rule. And you can see from the simulation details up here, these plays are really close together. Quackle's going to value exchanging at about a 10-point valuation. None is right there with it. Keeping the H is a little behind, and then playing Hun is the worst of those options. Honestly, you could probably do anything here. It's more about what kind of game you want to build. None is probably going to be like a closed, clunky, crappy game. Not necessarily, but it'll lead to that more often. I just don't want to get hung up with a bunch of bad tiles at the beginning of this game. I thought about playing Hun, and you see all those 1-pointers. There's a good chance that I'm going to be scoring 12 for 2 more turns after Hun. There's also a good chance I bingo after Hun, but that's a really volatile leave, and especially against someone seated a little bit lower like Jeff. I'd rather avoid, scoring 15 or scoring 75 next turn. I'm just going to exchange. Quackle agrees with me on this simulation too. It's very close, but that's what I elected to do. And within about 3 seconds of my exchange, Jeff exchanges 4. Now, I hate exchange 4 because it means they're keeping usually 3 pretty decent tiles. It can be anywhere from like ENT all the way to like NRS, or maybe they're holding a blank. Who knows? But you'd rather see your opponent change 6 or 7 on the first turn than 4. It means they're kind of close. So I go ahead and throw back, and I keep NR, and I end up drawing the rack ADIIMNR, which is annoying. There are no 7s in this rack, and I'm left again with this kind of philosophical decision of, do I want to score very little and keep a bunch of 1-point tiles, or do I want to do something else? So mid is an option I think a lot of people would play, or potentially dim in the same spot. And then there are a couple bigger plays. There's mid-air, and there's Amidin. But Amidin is not such a solid play because if you check Ziziva over here, Amidin and its anagram Diamond both take the back E. And I don't really want to open up a hook, especially when I'm not holding that hook. I know also a lot of people tend to confuse the word mid-air. It looks like an adjective that doesn't take an S, and I do happen to know that this one does take an S. So I'm happy to play mid-air here. I give my opponents a lot of floating tiles, ADIMR, after a smaller exchange, so there's a good chance I'm going to get bingoed back after mid-air. But I just don't want to get caught up fishing right now. And a Quackle simulation, I've already run this, will agree with me and says I should just go ahead and play long here anyway. So that's what I do, and very quickly, Jeff is going to throw down Eppings. So very quickly I'm in a hole. I exchange and miss, he exchanges and hits. Granted, I exchanged 5 and he only exchanged 4. And I've got to try and catch up. I pull into EHINNOP. So I draw EHINOP into my N leave. And this is probably the first mistake of many, many, many mistakes I'm going to make this tournament. I know, and I've known for years, one of my big weaknesses is I get blind when I have duplicate letters. But static Quackle, without any simulation, thinks that I should go ahead and play Hope and score 6 more points. And a simulation, I've run this 3 different times because I'm still skeptical. It agrees, just grab the points. It doesn't matter that you hold 2 ends. This obviously is a much better leave. You can see the difference in valuation on these plays is only 1 or 2 points apart. So that means really this INP leave is about 4 points better than INN, but it's not 6 points better than INN, and I should just go ahead and grab 48 points right now. I make these kind of mistakes all the time. I was mad at myself when I first Quackled through this game because I'm doing the thing that I know I do, getting greedy and trying to bingo too much and keeping balanced leaves, and I should just grab the 48 points. So this is a mistake. I don't think there's really any way I can argue this one, just a small tactical strategy mistake, and I lose about 2 points of equity on that play. So that's Hone. Jeff is going to crush me for a second consecutive turn. After he bingos with Ethings, Jeff is going to hit Grizz for 67, and very quickly I'm in a 77-point hole. That's not good, and what makes it worse is EIILNPU. I picked up EILU. You generally don't want to pick up that many vowels, especially when you're holding one. UII is never good, and things are starting to look pretty bad for me. Luckily, I was able to clean up a lot of the rack all at once. I have Punier up here, and to me, there wasn't really any question. Okay, undouble the I's, play off the U. I still score a good amount with a rack like this. I open up the board. Fantastic, right? Quackle actually found a play that it prefers to Punier, and that's down here. It's Punish. The same score. Punish doesn't seem to open up the board as much, but I guess I don't get punished, no pun intended, from the P a lot of the time. I give Jeff a lot more points after this play, especially because there's not a ton of scoring availability on this board right now. Quackle also considered playing Pew right here and fishing. I tend to be one of the least fish-oriented players out there in Division 1. That's just kind of my thing. I try to avoid variance and bingo-or-die situations. The great Marlon Hill calls a bunch of one-pointers sticks, and I really like that term, so I don't want to get stuck in the sticks after Pew. But you can see the simulation prefers Punish to Punier by a couple points. So again, I'm making about a 2 or 3 point mistake. And this is just playing too fast. It's being sloppy. It's not taking time to properly evaluate the options. Maybe it's better to try and open the board. Again, I'm down 77, but Quackle doesn't think so. Quackle's not God, obviously, but I think I should probably grab those equity points right now, although it's quite close. I play Punier, and Jeff spots and finds OK and scores 27, dropping KOR and OK. I was ecstatic to see Jeff do this because I've drawn into this rack, which bingos with utilize, and I didn't have a spot to put it until Jeff made that play. I got OKE, and down comes utilize for 66 in about 5 seconds. There's really nothing to talk about, nothing to think about on turns like that. You have one bingo and one spot to play it, do it. Jeff spins a while and then puts down vague, so he's finally caught up in some pretty bad stuff, bad tiles. It looks like GUV is never fun to play off, and if he's going to think that hard before he puts down a bunch of junk, there's a good chance maybe he's holding on to more junk. Or he's got a blank. You know, it could mean a bunch of different things, but I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling like I have a good chance to get back into this game, and I'm feeling especially good because I've drawn this rack here. Maybe pause the video and look for a second and see if you can find a good play here. If you found a fantastic play, you are better than me, because the top play is a word I did not know, and that's liminal. I don't know if that comes from subliminal, or if that's, I don't know what that is. I've never seen that word before in my life, but that is the top play here. It's a sneaky little play between the eyes, hook the M onto ethanes for methanes. I did find the spot, and I was torn between playing liming and playing diming. But as you can see, I don't know if you can actually see that. Quackle tells me that diming is not a word, and that's entirely correct. Diming is not a word. Luckily, this small voice in the back of my head was telling me maybe diming isn't good. It just seems weird. Plus, diming holds you with 2 L's, so I went ahead and played liming. And I'm lucky I did. I don't know if Jeff would have challenged off diming, but I'm happy to play a good word. One other interesting kind of fun thing that liming does is it sets up the S spot right behind it. You can drop a play down from K1 or K2 and hook liming to make limings. I'm not sure that's a word. I'm inclined to say no, but I don't mind being in these positions because if I need it, I can try it. And if I don't need it, well, I can probably challenge it. It's tough to be in these situations against 20, 50 players because they know all the words and don't know if that takes the hook or not. I'd be more afraid of making this play, but you know, there's a good chance that neither of us knows whether limings is good or not, and it's a thing. It's fine. So liming is what I played. You can see the difference just in equity on Quackle is huge, and a simulation's not going to help me out at all. I mean, this is a 10, 12 point mistake. I simply just didn't know the word that I needed to know. And word knowledge is probably the biggest gap I have in my Scrabble game right now. I'm very much human in the word knowledge domain, and over the course of this 31 game series, you'll absolutely see that. I mean, I almost played diming. You know, I almost played a phony 5 turns into nationals. So, yeah, we'll see a lot more of that. Get used to it. Liming's going to come down, though. Liminal would be fantastic here, but I've crawled back into a lead. After I was down 77 points in 3 turns, boom, the stuff fell my way. I hit a bingo, I hit a big spot, and we're back into it. Jeff plays divot, so he was really caught up in some stuff. Maybe vague held the second V and he just had a bunch of crap. I'm not totally sure, but this board is now a lot more open than it was, and I have a chance to start to pull away here. Into liming, I pull ACDLNRY, and this was one of the turns that I spent more time on than almost any position at nationals. Actually, I started to get in time trouble this game, which is very, very strange for me. I never run out of time at tournaments because I spent so long messing with this play. And if you look at Quackle, you can see the valuation on these plays. They're basically all between 30 and 35. And these are some of the hardest positions in Scrabble, where you have a bunch of plays that score about the same, that keep comparable leaves. And it's like, which option should I choose? Yald is a bunch of points, Pandy is a bunch of points, Yaclad is a bunch of points, Party is basically Pandy, but with a slightly different leave. I did not see Norland, though I'd never play that. Opening up an S hook I don't have when I'm about to take a lead is kind of stupid. I did see Canary, I saw Laundry, I saw Calorie, I saw all kinds of stuff here. And they're all basically the same, you know? I ended up playing Pandy. And a sim tells me that's the right thing to do. Just try and knock out the easiest points from the P and hold a reasonably balanced leave of CLR and just kind of see what happens. I wanted to play Laundry because both blanks are still unseen and Jeff's not really playing like he has one. vague and then divot. He could, it's possible, but I wanted to play off 6 tiles and to see if I could draw something fun, but Laundry gives back so many easy plays from the Y, so many 30, 40-point plays that help him clean out bad racks. Ultimately, I just decided to make this game rough and play Pandy, and Quackle tells me that that's what I was supposed to do. Once again, and I'll say this 1,000 times, Quackle's not the best. Quackle makes a lot of tactical errors, but it's pretty good, and Quackle backs up that play, so I was happy to make that. What I was not happy to see is Jeff's next play. He sets down BANJAX for 60 points. That's a ton of points. I was not expecting that. You know, if Jeff bingoed next turn, that's one thing. But to score 60 points, to turn over 5 tiles with 2 blanks unseen, I'm starting to hate my chances in this game. I draw into CELORSW, so I pick up EOSW. I'm really ecstatic to draw that S because it gives me some fun possibilities with limings if I really need it. Again, limings is not a word, but I can play it, I can try. It gives me the S to hook onto divots and make plays down here or wherever. The S is good. The blank would have been better, but the S is good. Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of plays to do with it. You can get it really aggressive and try and fish and hope you pick up a vowel and a good play and play woe. But if you fish right now on this board, the only real spot you can bingo is using some of these tiles over here, hooking divots or playing through the O or the T. And if you start fishing, your opponent's going to block that and you're dead. Maybe there's 9s to the ER, but especially holding an ER, that's not a thing that's going to happen too often. So I decide I need a score. And I saw 2 good plays that did that. I saw Troll and I saw Towels. And there's also like Towers, Towers, which is basically the same play as Towels, but with a slightly inferior leave. So we won't talk about that anymore. It's really tough to make a play like Towels because putting the S at 08 like that is just a terrifying thing to do. Your opponent can come back and bingo from 01 down to the S for 85, 86 a lot of the time. There are also more words that start with the letter S than any other letter in the alphabet. So in addition to most words, or more words ending in S than any other letter, there are also more words starting with S than any other letter. And putting that S there is scary. If I'm down 70 or 90, that's a fantastic thing to do. It creates a really dynamic board, but I'm not. I'm about to make it a tie game, or very close to it, with 2 unseen blanks. That's scary. So I got very scared, and I decided to avoid the variance. I put down Troll instead to hold on to the S. And in hindsight, I really wish I hadn't done this. If he bingos from the S, he's going to bingo from the S, but the S is a terrible tile after Troll. Aside from the limings possibility of, the phonies I can play, there's really nothing to do with the S. It's hard to bingo. I knocked out the divots hook. The conventional wisdom says the S is worth about 9 points. On a board that sucks for the S is not worth 9 points. It's probably worth 6 or 7. And here I am giving up 9 points to hold an S. I don't think I should have done it. Hindsight, I would play Towels, for sure. But I didn't. I played Troll. And I'm going to get burned pretty hard, but actually not that hard at the same time. This is one of the weirder things that could have happened, but Jeff is going to bingo with Auto Gyro with a blank R for 58. Now I'm ecstatic to have held on to that S because I have plays from 15A making Auto Gyros, and that's great. One of the blanks is gone, the other is still unseen. Maybe Jeff is going to pull it on a 7-tile pull, maybe not. Who knows? Wait, I know, because I just drew it. I pull into ACFNSY blank. So his bingo is not very devastating. It scores 58, basically the lowest you can score for a bingo. And I've got cyans down here for 42, so I can make this a 28, 30-point game holding the last blank. But I'm also down a turn, so Jeff is going to get another turn. I'll probably go at 40 or 50, and then there's no bingo lines left if he blocks the board. I'm down 50 points. I have a blank. I can't do anything with it. So I just can't play cyans here. It's a losing play most of the time, as long as Jeff can block like the 8s that I can play through Troll. So instead I decided to play Fey right here. It's 30 points, so that's 12 less, but CNS is a pretty dynamic leave, and it it actually allows me to win this game just by scoring. If Jeff makes a small little play, like it's 7M right here, he drops like ATE or something, APE, I can score enough with the phase hook I've created or a stack and play underneath that maybe I don't need a bingo to win. Now, CNS is also so dynamic, or CNS blank is so dynamic that even if the 8s here get blocked, I can play 9s through the ER, or I can score in the 15 spot. So I really liked the play of Fey here, aside from, it just looks like a solid equity play. I'm not going to play Cyans. I'm going to play Fey. I think that definitely increases my chance of winning. So Fey comes down, and I catch a break. Jeff pulls the Q. There are no unseen U's, so Jeff's got to shed the Q as fast as he can to avoid getting stuck with it. And I pull into CENPST blank. So CNS blank does bingo for me. That's fantastic. If you want to pause the video and try and find a playable bingo here, you can. I spent a lot of my remaining time, and I didn't have a lot of remaining time, looking for 9s through the ER at the bottom of the board. Spoiler alert, there are no 9s through the ER at the bottom of the board, so I wasted a bunch of time doing nothing, basically. I mean, it was important for me to do. And I saw 2 possibilities here. I saw potences, and I saw pectines. Obviously, potences is a better play, because it scores 4 more, but this is another theme you're going to see. I just couldn't pull the trigger on it. I was like, I'm almost certain this is a word, but I'm not certain enough. I'm certain pectines is good. And by the way, just in case you're curious, pectines is a fun word because it actually comes from pecten, P-E-C-T-E-N. There is no 7 that you can spell P-E-C-T-I-N-E-S. So it's one of those what we call sticky S words. You have to put the S on pectines, or pectinese, or whatever that is. I should have played potences. There's really no doubt about that whatsoever, and I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the guts. I played the bingo I was sure of. I am up 5 points. So I'm actually still the underdog here. I have the lead, but it's Jeff's turn. I'm down a tempo, or down a turn. So I lose more than I win, probably, in this situation. Jeff spends a very long time and comes down with T-R-E-E. And that was sad, because I had some decent scoring plays underneath here. Especially with the F that I had pulled. I could play F-E-E-B for a bazillion points. And I was really expecting Jeff to play something like cow up here in this area, or maybe a play from 15E, and I thought maybe I could outrun those plays. It was intriguing that he played tree because Jeff probably didn't have an S to make a play like that. There's so many opportunities where he can score with the S that he's probably going to use it if he has it. And that puts me in this situation here. Mind you, I've got less than 2 minutes on my clock because I spent way too much time on the pandy turn, and then I've just spent some time in other places on this game as well, trying to talk myself into potencies, for instance. So now we're in a pre-endgame, or really this is just a 1 tile in the bag endgame. You can see the unseen pool of tiles there is CDIOORSW. And I've got almost no time to figure this game out. But what I do figure out very quickly is if he plays something like crows or woods or words out of that pool and auto gyros, I'm dead. I'm already down 20. A play down there is going to score 40 or 50 points. And especially against a lower seed, what you want to do is try and make the endgame as difficult as possible. Everybody and their mom will see crows and auto gyros for 50 and win the game. So I'm very low on time. I think about dropping, that's not correct, FE right here. But the other thing I want to be able to do is go out next turn. I want to play off as many tiles as I can and try and pull a sequence where I can go out in 2, including this move. So I decided to play a Bele here, A-B-E-L-E. That makes his plays here a lot harder. He can still drop something like wires or rices or dices or something like that. But if he plays off 4 tiles, there's a decent chance I can stop him from going out with the remaining 3 tiles. And if I'd had more time, I'd actually go through and figure out, can I win this game if I draw an E? I'm sorry, if I draw the C. Can I win this game if I draw the D? Can I win this game if I draw the I, the O, the R, the S, the W? But I didn't have that time. I was down to about 1.5 minutes. I saw 2 more plays worth making. There's Feeble, And there's beefalo, which is a really fun word. But I dismissed beefalo because I just didn't think it scored enough. As it turns out, Quackle tells me that beefalo wins this game 2 out of 8 times. If Jeff doesn't have an S, beefalo is going to win almost all the time, because even if he drops COW down at M1, making bop and EWE, I'm supposed to win the game, just because I can catch him with a bunch of crap on his rack. Didn't have the time to go through and figure out all these things. I just decided to try and make stuff hard for him, and I ended up losing this game an additional 12.5% of the time, because Quackle tells me a Beal only wins if I pick up the R on this turn. I guess I get outs in different places. Did not have the time to figure this endgame out, but I tried as hard as I could to muck stuff up for him. I ended up drawing an O out of the bag, which is kind of what I expected. I mean, there were 2 O's. It's the most likely thing I'm going to draw. And Jeff has this rack. I have AEFO. There are no ways for me to go out next turn. If I can threaten an out, I might win the game, but AEFO, I'll go ahead and type that in. This is about for you guys. AEFO only plays 5s with an R and a V. I don't have those tiles available. I am dead. So Jeff ends up putting down cow. Where did he put it? He's going to play it for 30 on this side. He holds DIRS, and I was actually pretty excited. I see obviously he's fishing for, or setting himself up to play rides and auto gyros as an out, but I didn't see any other outs that he left for himself. So I'm actually able to knock out that out for him, just block it, and he's not going to be able to go out, so I get a free turn. And you can put that through championship player. Quackle says the best endgame sequence is to drop OE there, dropping rides. That's exactly what I did. I still can't win the game. I mean, Jeff has a bunch of plays. Everything wins 100%, even if I play optimally at the end. He drops down Dins. It's the best thing he can do. And I go out with FA. And I end up dropping this game by 17. So not how I wanted to start my nationals, but I certainly made my share of mistakes to get there. I could have won this game if I had played it better. Hone was not good. I should just go ahead and keep 2 N's and score 6 more points. Liming, missing Liminal, was very bad, or Liminal, however you say that word. I lost a bunch of points there. This play, I probably want to just score 9 more points and play off the S. This play, I gave 4 points away. Not knowing potences. And this play here, if I play beefalo, apparently I win slightly more often. I don't feel super bad about that one because I didn't have the time to figure it out, but then that's another mistake I made. I just played the game too slowly. So that's game 1 of Nationals. It was a pretty interesting game. I do feel like I had my share of bad breaks. Grizz is really painful. Banjax is really painful, and then getting bingo the turn after. But Jeff did some great stuff. He played some great words, and he deserved the win, and I certainly didn't. So there's game 1. There are 30 more of these to come, and hopefully I can play a little bit better, and hopefully some more interesting positions to go over in those future games. Hope you like the new video format. Stay tuned.